And let's get ready. So we find our comfortable sitting position. You can sit any way you choose. Just trying to formulate a little bit of concentration and focus. Always strange doing yoga at home. Maybe take a couple of deep breaths. Just relaxing into the space. Maybe closing the eyes. And bringing all the attention to the breathing. Noticing what it feels like to inhale and exhale. Maybe letting the breathing get a little bit deeper as you settle further into the space. Maybe noticing anything in the body that feels a little bit stiff or unusual. Maybe noticing that there's nothing like that at all. Let's take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's blink the eyes open and let's get a little bit of movement going. So we'll drop the hands down beside the body to take our big circles with the arms and shoulders. We'll take a breath in, really stretching the arms towards the sides of the room and up overhead. Make a prayer at the top. And exhale the prayer down past the nose and mouth towards the chest. Let's interlace the fingers together, point the palms towards the face, breathe in to lift up. And exhale, turn the hands out, push the arms away, drop the head down, maybe have a little wiggle into the ribs and the hips on both sides. And then take a breath in, lifting the arms up overhead, maybe wiggling them behind the ears if you've got space for it. And exhale, releasing the hands to the sides of the room, bringing them behind the back. Let's interlace the fingers together. If you've got space, pulling the shoulder blades towards one another, maybe bringing the hands away from the lower spine. And exhale, let's release the whole lot. Maybe give the hands a little bit of a shake and a wiggle. Maybe open and close the fingers a couple of times with lots and lots of focus in them, building up the energy. And then give the wrist a bit of a shake again. And we'll come to our sitting position on all fours. So dropping the hands onto the mat, knees on the mat to come for our tabletop. Maybe stacking the shoulders over the wrists. But if you need to move things around, move things around. That's absolutely fine. We're going to get ready for our downward dog. So we're going to take a couple of cat cows, taking a breath in to lift the head and drop the belly towards the floor. And exhale, rounding the spine, tucking the chin towards the chest, really pushing into the mat with the hands like you could lift off. And breathing in, lifting the head up, drop the belly down. And exhale, rounding the spine, chin towards the chest. Take one more inhale, lift the head up, drop the belly down. And on the exhale, let's bring it back to our central neutral position. Make sure you've got the right hand planted really well on the floor. And we're going to lift the left hand away, slot it beneath the right arm, and drop the left shoulder down towards the mat. Dropping the head onto the mat as well. And if you feel like you need to move the right hand to make it a little bit more comfortable or supported, that's fine. Threading the needle one side to the other, you should feel a nice open stretch, maybe through the shoulders or maybe down the arm. Might even be a little bit uncomfortable. Take a breath in and an exhale. And on the inhale, let's start to bring it back to our tabletop position in center. And we'll go in the opposite direction. So really planting the left hand and then shuffling the right one underneath. Right shoulder to the mat, head to the mat. And again, if you want to move that left hand to bring some extra support in, go for it. That's fine. Breathe in. And exhale. And on the inhale, let's start to roll it all back to our tabletop. Amazing. We're going to make sure that the hands are pushed down really solidly on the mat, separating the fingers nice and wide. And let's get ready for our downward dog. So we're going to tuck the toes underneath, lift the hips towards the ceiling, maybe keeping the knees bent if you wish. That's totally fine. If you want to step the legs back a little bit further or closer in, that's also fine. Maybe thinking about pedaling the feet if the backs, the hamstrings feel okay. It's totally up to you. You can stay still here or you can build in a little bit of movement. Maybe wiggling the hips a little bit, nodding the head, shaking the head, thinking about pushing in with the knuckles of the hands. Breathe in. And exhale. Take one more inhale, lift the hips. And on the exhale, let's bend the knees and look forward. Inhale, step the right foot forward and the left foot forward. Let's grab hold of opposite elbows and take a little sway one side to the other. Maybe noticing if you get a little extra stretch in the backs of the legs. And then let's bring the arms back to center. Let them fall towards the feet, bend the knees a little bit, and breathe in to roll the torso upright until we're all back to standing. We've got an admission. Groovy. Cool, let's go with our sun salute. Let's take a breath in, arms up overhead, look up towards the ceiling. And exhale, fold the hands down to the mat. Bend the knees as much as you need to. Let's inhale to the fingertips, lengthen through the backs of the legs. And exhale, plant the hands, step the right foot back and the left foot back for our plank. And let's lower it down. Knees first if you wish, all good. Inhale forward to our cobra or upward dog, dropping the shoulders from the ears. And exhale, let's tuck the toes, lift the hips back up, downward dog. Same thing goes, you want to pedal the feet, go for it. If you need to wiggle the hips or nod the head and shake the head, take whatever movement you fancy to make this feel a little bit more natural, a little bit less stiff. Breathe in and exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's bend the knees and look forward. Inhale, step it forward to the top of the mat. Lengthen through the backs of the legs, reaching those fingertips to the floor or hands on shins. And exhale, plant the hands, bend the knees as much as you need to. Inhale, let's lift the arms up overhead, gaze up towards the ceiling. And exhale, back to standing. Second time, let's take a breath in, arms up overhead, look up. And exhale, fold the hands down to the mat, bend the knees. Inhale to the fingertips or hands on shins, gaze forward. And exhale, plant the hands, step or jump it back to our plank. And let's lower it down. Inhale forward to our cobra or upward dog. And exhale, let's tuck the toes, lift the hips back up, downward dog. Pedaling the feet, still all good by me. If at any point you want to take a rest, you can come down onto the knees, sit the bum back on the heels, take a child's pose. Doesn't matter. Nobody's saying you need to be in downward dog all the time. Breathe in. And on the exhale, let's bend the knees and look forward. Inhale, step or jump it to the top of the mat. Let's lengthen through the backs of the legs, reach those fingers towards the floor. And exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands. Inhale, let's straighten everything upright. Reach the arms up overhead, gaze up. And exhale, back to standing. Surya Namaskara B. Let's take a breath in, arms up overhead and sit back into our little chair. And exhale, fold the hands to the mat, keeping the knees bent. Inhale to the fingertips, lengthen the backs of the legs. And exhale, plant the hands, step or jump it back to our plank. And let's lower it down. Inhale forward to our cobra or upward dog. And exhale, let's tuck the toes, lift the hips back up, downward dog. Let's inhale the right leg forward between the hands. Drop the left heel down, stretch the arms up overhead, grow tall in warrior one. And exhale the hands back to the mat. Step the right foot back to our plank and lower it. Inhale forward to our cobra. And exhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips back up, downward dog. Let's inhale that left foot forward between the hands. Drop the right heel down, stretch the arms up overhead for warrior one. And exhale the hands back to the mat, step the left foot back, lower it all down. Inhale forward to our cobra. And exhale, let's tuck the toes, lift the hips back up, downward dog. By now we should feel a little bit warmer. Maybe the breathing's gotten a little bit more labored. And same thing goes, if you feel like you need a break, just take a break. Drop the knees onto the floor, put the bum back to the heels, take a child's pose, no big deal. Let's breathe in. And exhale. Take one more inhale. Think about lifting the hips ever so slightly higher. And on the exhale, let's bend those knees and look forward. Inhale, step or jump it to the top of the mat. Lengthen through the backs of the legs, reach the fingertips to the floor. And exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, let all the air out. Inhale, let's swoop the arms up overhead, sitting back into our chair. And let's stay here. Take a breath in. And an exhale, maybe sitting a little bit lower. Breathe in, lengthening with the arms. And exhale, keeping the legs strong and steady. Take one more inhale, lengthening the arms again. And on the exhale, let's float the torso forward and down, stretching the arms out in front. If you've not got kitchen cabinets in your way, this might feel a little bit nicer. Breathe in. And exhale. Take one more breath in. And on the exhale, let's start to find some relief, straightening the legs, reaching the hands towards the feet. And let's separate the feet out to hip width distance apart. If you can reach the toes, feel free to loop the first two fingers of the hands around the big toes. If you can't get to the toes, it doesn't matter. Hang on somewhere on the legs, all good. No matter where you're at, take a big inhale. And on the exhale, maybe start to surrender down a little bit, letting the head fall, totally surrendering it, letting it fall towards the floor. If you want to bend the elbows out to the side, you can to accelerate the forward fold. If you find that your knees start to bend, that's fine. Doesn't matter if your knees bend. Take a breath in. And an exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's release the hands from wherever they are. Bring the fingertips to the floor or to the shins. And then we're going to bring the hands to the hips. Tuck the chin towards the chest. And let's inhale, start to lift everything upright. Take your time, no need to go too fast. Cool. We're going to keep the left foot pointed in front of us. And we're going to step the right foot out behind, coming in for a triangle pose. So for anybody who joined late, there's a couple of things that you need for this class. One of the things that's really helpful is a brick. So if you've got like your brick or your hardback book, just have it to hand, have it nearby. That's all. Cool, so we're coming in for our triangle pose, left foot pointing forward, right foot in at about 45 degrees. Let's bring the arms to parallel. Take a breath in, reach the left hand forward as far as possible, and exhale, left hand down towards the floor, right hand up towards the ceiling. Think about stacking the shoulders one on top of the other. So we're kind of trying to open the chest towards the ceiling a little bit extra every time. Breathe in. And exhale. Take one more inhale, really lengthening with the arms. And on the exhale, let's look down towards the left foot if we're not there already. Let's inhale to lift the arms back up to our parallel position and bring the hands to the hips. So we're going to move the hips and square them. So we're kind of facing a little bit more forward. There's no need to be in pain about it. It's just giving us a notion of where we're facing. And then we're going to step the right foot in a little bit towards the left one, and then out a little bit towards the right side of the mat. So we've got a bit of a wider base. Take a breath in and stretch the right arm out ahead of you. And on the exhale, reach across the body. You can grab hold of anything on the left leg, or if you've got your brick, you could hold on to the brick beside the left foot. Totally up to you which one you choose. I don't mind. You can bring the left hand to weight on the lower side of the back. Take a breath in and start to twist a little bit to the left-hand side, maybe looking up towards the ceiling. This is our revolve triangle. If you fancy it, you can think about lifting the left hand up towards the ceiling as well, so that you've got this same stacking of the shoulders as we had in our normal triangle. Take a breath in. These all look super. And an exhale. Use the inhale to try and grow a little bit taller. And on the exhale, let's lower that left hand back down to the lower back if we're not there already. Look down towards the left foot and let's straighten the torso upright. Maybe bringing the hands back to the hips and giving everything a little bit of a wiggle from one side to another. And then we're going to change some alignment. So we're keeping this left foot pointed forward. We're going to step the right one out behind us, quite open for our warrior two position. So we've mostly done warrior two quite a lot. You probably know which variant of it is nicest for you or most challenging. Up to you what you choose to do. Let's stretch the arms out to their parallel position. Make sure that brick is still somewhere in front of you. Take a breath in. And on the exhale, let's bend over the left knee into our warrior two. So you can make a couple of different adjustments here. We want to look out over the left middle finger of the left hand. We want to try and get the upper leg to parallel with the floor, but it's not always possible. You might want to think about widening the stance a little bit. You don't want to track the knee too far forward because it just might be a bit sore. Think about keeping this leg super solid, knee over the ankle. Breathe in. And on the exhale, if you've got space, maybe going a little deeper, maybe tucking in the ribs in the front, maybe pulling in the tailbone at the back, keeping the center of the body really strong. Inhale and exhale. Take one more breath in. We're going to straighten the front leg. We're going to shuffle the back leg in a little bit. We're going to step forward to our warrior three. So you can bend the left knee to take a step forward. Chest pointing down towards the floor, arms alongside the body if you wish. Like always, my kitchen cabinets are in the way. We want to have the hips quite square here, so you can kind of think about pointing that right leg parallel to the mat at the same time that you're lifting it up. It's up to you what you do with the hands. Alongside the body is fine. If you want to stretch them out like wings, go for it. I find that one freaks me out, but it doesn't make any difference which you choose. Breathe in, finding the balance. And exhale, holding the pose. On the next inhale, let's find that brick. Let's bring it alongside the left foot somewhere. I fell over. If you fell over, it's fine. Keeping into our warrior three position, lowering the left hand onto the brick really, really lightly. And then let's start to turn the right hip towards the ceiling, opening the body out for our Ardha Chandrasana or half moon, maybe lifting the right leg a little bit higher as we go. All looking really, really good. If you fall out of it, just get back into it. It doesn't matter. Breathe in. And exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's lower the right foot back down to the mat. Let's swing our arms back around, coming in for our warrior two. Breathe in. And on the exhale, let's straighten that front leg again. Take one inhale here. And exhale, let's float the hands down to the mat, framing the left foot. Let's step the left foot back to join the right in a plank, and let's lower it all down. Inhale forward to our upward dog or cobra. And exhale, tuck in the toes, lift the hips back up, downward dog. If you want to take a child's pose here for a second, go for it, that's fine. Otherwise, think about breathing in and lifting with the hips. And exhaling, maybe dropping the heels towards the mat. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's bend the knees and gaze forward. Inhale, let's step the right foot forward. We're going to drop the left heel down. And we're going to bring the arms the whole way upright to our cartwheel position and get ready for our triangle. So depending on how your legs have landed, you might need to change things around a little bit. Right foot pointing forward, pull the left foot into about 45 degrees. Take a big breath in, reach forward with the right hand. And on the exhale, right hand down towards the floor, left hand up towards the ceiling. Same triangle on this side. Think about stacking the shoulders, So every inhale, maybe reaching the arms a little bit higher. And on the exhale, opening the chest towards the ceiling a little bit more. If you find that looking up throws you off balance, feel free to look down, no issue. Breathe in. And exhale. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, let's look down towards the right foot if we're not there already. Let's inhale back to our triangle position, arms are parallel, and bring the hands to the hips. Shuffle the hips so you're looking forward a little bit, and then we're going to step the left foot in towards the right, and then out a little bit towards the edge of the mat, widening the base. Let's take a breath in, left arm out in front, and exhale, reach the left hand across the body. You can grab hold of the outside of the right leg, or you can rest the left hand on the brick, all good, I don't mind. You can bring the right hand to the lower back and use the torque of the body to twist a little bit, looking to the right hand side. And if you fancy it and you've got space, maybe lifting the right arm up overhead so that your shoulders are still stacking. Breathe in and exhale. Take one more breath in. And on the exhale, let's look down towards the right foot if we're not there already. Let's lower the right hand back to the lower back. Let's inhale to lift the torso upright. And let's release the hands. We're going to get ready for our warrior two on this side as well. So right foot pointing forward, but let's move the left foot back and around, open to our 90 degrees for our warrior two, and then our warrior three and half moon. So let's take a breath in, arms to parallel. And on the exhale, bend over the right knee for warrior two. Whatever variations or changes you made on the first side, make them on the second as well. If you widen the stance second time around. Really think about looking out over the middle finger of the right hand. Breathe in. And exhale, maybe sit a little bit lower if you've got space. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. On the inhale, let's straighten that right leg and let's get ready to come forward for our warrior three. So maybe shuffling the back leg in a little bit and then bend the right leg to take one step forward, chest pointing towards the mat, arms alongside or out beyond the body. Finding the balance. Maybe second time around the balance is easier to find. Maybe it's harder. Think about squaring the hips a little bit so the left leg isn't opening out to the left side too early so you don't get too tired. Breathe in and exhale. Take one more breath in. And on the exhale, let's prepare our brick. So somewhere near the right foot, it's going to be different for every person. Plant the brick and the right hand on top of it. Maybe you don't need the brick at all, that's fine. Push down into the right leg, starting to open the left hip towards the side. And then maybe stretching the left hand up towards the ceiling, lifting the right leg a little bit further along the way for our half moon. Really good. There's some great kind of turns to the side. And like I say, you fall out of it, just get back in, no big deal. Breathe in and exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's lower that left leg back to the mat, bringing it back to our warrior two position. And on the inhale, let's straighten that right leg. Exhale. Let's lower the hands to the mat, framing the right foot. You can move the brick out of the way, and then stepping it back to our plank and lowering it down. Inhale forward to our upward dog or cobra. And exhale, let's tuck the toes, lift the hips back up. Downward dog. Cool. Take a breath in and lift the hips. On the exhale, think about dropping the heels. And then inhale, let's lift the right leg up towards the sky. Let's bend the right knee and let's bring it forward towards the top of the mat. Right knee somewhere near the right wrist to come for our pigeon pose. So it's up to you what variations you take here. You can drop the left knee, you can shuffle the left leg out behind you. Maybe you can pull the right foot slightly further forward if you know your hips have that kind of space. Take a big breath in and lengthen through the spine. And on the exhale, lower the torso forward and down to the floor. You can rest your head on the hands. If you want to, you can rest your head on the brick that we were using earlier. It's quite nice, it's fairly peaceful. Totally up to you what you choose to do. You might feel a huge amount in this stretch, or you might feel almost nothing. It doesn't matter. Everybody's body is different. If you want to, you could maybe rock a little bit from one side to another, which might either make the stretch a little bit deeper or just feel really relaxing. Really depends on the person. It's a good opportunity to close the eyes and to pay attention to the breathing. Let's take one more breath in. And one more exhale. Let's start to lift the head from wherever it's at, and then separate the hands out towards the sides of the mat. Let's tuck the left toes underneath. Let's lift the left knee off the floor, and let's swoop the right one back to join the left in a downward dog. Take a breath in and an exhale. On the next inhale, let's lift that left leg high towards the sky. Let's bend the left knee and move it all forward to the top of the mat. Left knee landing somewhere near the left wrist. No need to be too fussy. You can drop the right knee, shuffle the right leg out behind. And if you've got that space in front, feel free to move the left foot forward, your choice. Take a breath in and lengthen through the spine. And use the exhale to drop it all down, nice and slowly. Letting the head rest wherever you allowed it to rest last time. And if you liked rocking forwards and backwards, do the same thing here. The breathing rate will have started to come down. The heart rate will feel a little bit less labored. Maybe you find a really nice point of relaxation. Let's take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's start to lift the head. Let's separate the hands out towards the sides of the mat. Let's tuck the right toes underneath, lift the right knee, and let's swoop the left leg back to join the right in our downward dog. Take a breath in. And on the exhale, let's bend the knees, look forward. Inhale, step the right foot forward and the left foot forward. Let's bring the hands to rest on the shins for a second. Give the hamstrings a little bit of a wiggle. And then exhale, let the hands fall out in front of the body, bending the knees a little bit. Let's inhale to stand upright. Take your time, doesn't need to be quick. Last thing up, shoulders, neck, and head. So we're going to take our tree pose for our balance with the breathing and the heart rate down a little bit. Hopefully we'll be less liable to fall over. And we've already done a little bit of balancing already. So hopefully that'll have prepared the body for it as well. So you've got options in tree pose, but we all start from the same place. We're going to push down into the right leg until we can lift the left leg away. Finding a sense of balance and then deciding on leg variation. So you can bring the left foot to the right ankle. You could go to the calf. You can take it to the inner thigh. If you want to take half lotus, you can take half lotus. And if you are going to take half lotus, you can still support it with the hand. So if you fancy just giving it a whirl, give it a whirl, that's fine. Once you've got your leg position in place and the balance feels good, we can bring the hands to prayer at center of the chest. And then you've got two options here. You can inhale and lift the prayer up, opening the arms out to the side like branches of a tree, or you can exhale and start to bend the torso forward and down towards the floor, going really slowly. Maybe you can touch the hands to the right leg, and then over time, maybe you can start to stretch a little bit closer towards the floor. Depends on the person, depends on the day. If you've gone up overhead, you can feel free to wiggle the wrists or the fingers, maybe rotating the arms. Doing whatever feels kind of nice to keep the body and the torso moving, trying to find a little bit of challenge in the balance. Falling out of this is good. Let's take a breath in and an exhale. Wherever you're at, on the next inhale, let's prepare to move. So if you're reaching up overhead, you can exhale to bring the hands back to the chest. If you're down towards the floor, you can inhale to lift upright. We'll all meet back at center, hands at prayer, take your time. And on the exhale, let's release the left leg down and shake the right leg out. Give it a really good shake. Cool. and second side. So whatever variation you did on the first side, try to do it on the second side as well. We're going to push down into the left leg until we can reach the right leg away with relative ease. If this takes a bit longer, it takes a bit longer. It doesn't matter. And then bringing that right leg to whichever variation you chose on the first side. If the first side was a bit of a Hames and you fell over a lot, feel free to dial it back a little bit. It could just be a bad balance day. And once you've got the position, arms to center of the chest in prayer, or supporting the leg in half lotus, and it's your choice. You can inhale to lift up and open, or you can exhale to fold forward and down, totally up to you. If you've reached up and open, same thing, have a play about with the hands and the fingers, maybe moving the arms, having a little shimmy with the hips and seeing what that does to the balance. Not good things is the answer. It's up to you to find a little point of challenge. Have a little bit of fun. Fall out of it, no big deal. Breathe in and exhale. And let's start to get ready to get out. So if you're at the top, reaching up, you can inhale to bring the hands back to center and exhale them back to the chest. If you're down at the floor, inhale to lift up. Everyone will meet in the same place. And then let's release that right leg down. Give the left leg a bit of a shake. Cool. And then let's step it back to the top of the mat. So we've got lots of space behind us. And let's take a breath in. Arms up overhead, look up. And exhale, fold the hands down to the mat. Bend the knees as much as you want to. Inhale, fingertips towards the floor, straightening the backs of the legs for halfway lift. And exhale, let's plant the hands, step or jump it back to our plank position. And then we're going to lower it down to the floor fully. So all parts of the body are hitting the mat. You can rest the forehead on the mat as well. And you can stretch the arms down alongside the body on the floor. I'm vaguely visible. Hopefully my directions will be good. Take a breath in and an exhale. On the next inhale, we're going to lift the head, neck, shoulders, chest, and all of the arms off the floor. So we're lifting up as much as we can with the inhale, but keep the legs on the mat. That's fine. Breathe in to lift up a little bit higher, head, neck, shoulders, arms, chest. And on the exhale, let's lower it all back down. Maybe rest the cheek against the mat for a second. Take a breath in. And an exhale. Let's bring the forehead to the mat again. And on the next inhale, we're going to lift the feet, the ankles, the shins, maybe the knees and a bit of the thighs off the floor, keeping everything else on. So bottom half of the body lifting up as much as possible. Inhale and exhale. Take one more breath in, lift a little bit more. And on the exhale, let's let it all down and rest the cheek on the mat. Breathe in and exhale. It's probably a bit obvious what's coming next. Let's bring the forehead to the mat again. Make sure you've got space, which I definitely don't have. And we're going to do all of it at the same time. So on the inhale, let's lift the head, neck, shoulders, arms, chest, feet, shins, knees, thighs, everything off the floor for our locust pose, Shalabhasana. Really stretching the arms behind you, trying to push as much energy as you can along all of the body. Inhale to lift and exhale to try and hold it. Take one more breath in. And on the exhale, let's lower it all down. Bring the cheek to rest on the mat. Maybe rock the hips from one side to the other a little bit. Find a little bit of relief. Take one more breath in. And one more exhale. And then let's bring the forehead back towards the center of the mat. And we're going to reach back and bend the knees so that the feet are coming in towards the bum. You've got some choices here. You don't need to reach both feet with both hands if you don't want to. That's fine. You can reach back with the right hand and grab hold of the right foot. If that feels okay, maybe you can try the other side, but it's okay to do them one at a time. Absolutely fine. Once you've got hold of one or both legs, look down towards the mat. Take a breath in and an exhale. And on the inhale, let's push the feet into the hands, and push the hands into the feet. So we're lifting almost all of the body off the mat, trying as hard as we can to get a little bit higher with each inhale, still pulling the knees in close to each other as well. Breathe in and exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's release it all down. Release the feet. Drop the hands back down to the mat. Bring the cheek to rest against the floor. Maybe rock the hips from one side to another. Breathe in and exhale. Really good. Okay, next time, we're going to bend the right knee, just the right one, in towards the bum. We're going to reach back with the right hand, grab hold of the right foot, and then we're going to flip the hand. So you might want to watch it on the video. We're going to turn the hand so that the fingers are kind of pointing up towards the toes. So you're really rotating your arm in kind of the wrong direction. You're going to grab hold of the toes from there, take a breath in, and on the exhale, lower that foot towards the floor, bending the elbow to pull everything in. If it starts to get sore, just dial it back. It doesn't need to be super dramatic. This is a half frog. Breathe in and exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's release the right leg. And we're going to do the same with the left. So bend the left knee in, reach back to grab hold of the left foot, and then we're going to flip the hand so that the left fingers are pointing up towards the left toes. Breathe in. And on the exhale, bending the left elbow, pulling that leg closer towards the floor. Inhale. And exhale. Take one more breath in. And on the exhale, let's release the left leg down completely. Maybe give everything a bit of a shake. You've got two options here. You can either take a little bit of a rest, drop the forehead on the mat, have a bit of a snooze for a minute, or you can attempt both sides of the frog. So you can bend both knees in towards the body. If any part of this was sore on either side, just don't bother. But if you liked it, you can reach for both feet, turning the hands so that the fingers point up towards the toes. Inhale. And on the exhale, pulling the legs down towards the floor, bending the elbows. Inhale. And exhale. Take one more breath in. And on the exhale, let's release the feet, let them fall back down to the mat. Let the hands fall, give the hips a little bit of a rock from one side to another. And then we're going to bring the hands alongside the chest, so either side of the chest, almost like a push-up position. And that's kind of been a bit of a spoiler. We're going to push up so that we're in a sort of a half bridge pose, almost like a half push-up. And then we're going to run the bum back towards the heel, stretching the arms out in front, head on the floor for a child's pose. If you prefer to have your knees spread wider in child's pose, go for it. Make any adjustments that you need to. Maybe you don't like having the arms spread out in front right now. You could put them alongside the body if you wish. Totally up to you. This is a little counter pose for the back. So it doesn't really matter what fancy things you want to add into it if you wish. Take a breath in. And an exhale. On the inhale, let's lift the head and look forward towards the hands. And then we're going to start to step the hands backwards so that we're kneeling at the back of the mat. And you can move the knees in towards one another. I've lost all sense of what parts of the body are what today. Bring the knees back in so that they're close together. And we're going to take a short little toe squat and a reverse. Oshin's looking at me with a very filthy look across the room because he wasn't expecting that. So we're going to tip forward so that we can prepare the feet for it. We're just going to turn the toes so that they're on the mat. And then we're going to sit the bum back onto the heels. A lot of people's tiny toes, like your smallest toe, won't fit in the squat. And you might need to reach down and actually adjust your little toe so that it is included and not just curled under. That's probably going to add to the discomfort if you already find this uncomfortable. If it's really hard to sit back on the heels and endure the toe squat for longer than 20 or 25 seconds, feel free to tip forward a little bit. It's not the end of the world. But if you can sit there and endure it, letting the heart rate come down and the breathing rate come down. Breathe in and exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's start to tip everything forward. Maybe bring the hands to the floor and let's undo the feet. So we're going to drop the tops of the feet onto the floor instead. Sit the heels and the bum together, and then maybe go in the opposite direction. So reaching the hands behind and maybe lifting the knees off the floor, giving the feet a bit of a counter pose as well. Breathe in and exhale. Let's bring it back to center. And then we're going to shuck the feet around to the side so that we're sitting. No more toe squats, I promise. Let's stretch both legs out in front and take a full-bodied forward fold in Paschimottanasana. So pointing the toes towards the ceiling. Take a breath in, reach the arms up overhead. And on the exhale, let's fold everything forwards and down, reaching towards the toes. If you can grab hold of your toes, go for it. Maybe you don't want to. You could hold on to the legs instead. Absolutely up to you. If you prefer to hold on to the outsides of the feet is fine also. Try to think about keeping the shoulders away from the ears, even in this position. So if you find that you've hunched the shoulders right up around the ears, lift the head a little bit. Give yourself a bit of extra space. Think about tilting the pelvic floor forward a little, maybe bending the elbows out to the side if you fancy it. If you're tired and you just want to sit there and have a relax, sit there and have a relax. Not the end of the world. Take one last breath in. On the exhale, let's release the hands from wherever they're at. Let's breathe in to reach them up overhead. And exhale them down to the sides. Give everything a little bit of a shake and a wiggle. And we'll get ready for our Crunchasana. So Crunchasana can be kind of awkward and not very pleasant. So if there's any part of it that you don't like, just don't bother doing it. It's a pose where you've got an option to keep the non-working leg forward or bent in alongside the body. So I'll show you what both versions look like, and then you can make a choice. So for Crunchasana, if you've got the left leg pointed out in front, we pull the right leg in towards the chest, we grab hold of the right foot, and we straighten the leg out. So we're kind of pulling the leg towards the chest and pulling the chest towards the leg at the same time. If that's really tight on the hamstring, you can hook the left leg around the torso instead, and that might make it a little bit nicer. It's totally up to you which variation you go for. But once you've got hold of the foot and it's straightened out in front of you, try to think about keeping the spine nice and straight. Think about dropping the shoulders from the ears, trying to keep as much strength as possible in the body. We don't want to shirk anything or kind of fall into it. And we don't want to go backwards too far either. So we're keeping everything in long, straight lines. Breathe in and exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's start to lower that right leg back down. If you move the left one in, stretch it back out in front. Give both legs a little bit of a wobble. And let's do the same thing opposite side. So this is one of the poses where one side might be really accessible, but the other one might be awful. So beware that the variation might be needed on the second side if it wasn't on the first. So left foot out in front. Let's grab hold of that left knee, pull it in towards the chest. I'm going to hold on to the left foot, make sure we've got really good grip. Start to straighten the leg out in front. And if you find that you want to, you can bend the other leg around to the side. Same set of things to think about here. We want to keep the chest pulling towards the knee and the knee towards the chest. We want to keep the arms nice and strong, dropping the shoulders from the ears, chest straight, spine in a straight line. If you can only do this with your leg bent, or if bending the leg would bring you better relief, do it with a bent leg. It doesn't need to be fully straight. You're trying to find a position where it's a good challenge, but where you still feel like you're getting a significant stretch and not just feel miserable. Take a breath in. And on the exhale, let's lower the left foot back down. Let's stretch the right foot out in front. Give the legs a little bit of a wiggle as much as possible. And then we're going to bend the legs in towards the side so that the soles of the feet are pointing towards one another, really pushed up against each other. And we're going to take first a little twist from one side to the other, and then our Baddha Konasana. So you can put your left hand on your right shin. Bring the right hand behind you onto the mat. Take a breath in. And on the exhale, start to torque the body towards the side. If your hand's on the shin, you'll get a sort of a lower twist to the side. If you want to bring the hand to the thigh, you'll get a deeper but more upright twist. Totally up to you which one you prefer. It's a good explore, a little bit different. Maybe on the inhales, do nothing, but use the exhale to go a little bit further if you've got any space, and you might not. This is a big twist. Inhale. And on the exhale, let's bring it back to center. And let's do the same thing opposite side. So right hand maybe goes to the shin of the left, or if you prefer it, you can bring it to the left thigh. You could do both as well, totally up to you. Bring the left hand behind onto the mat, breathe in. And on the exhale, start to torque the body to the side, maybe looking out over the left shoulder. And if you want to move the right hand from shin to thigh, go for it. Inhale. And exhale. This is a pretty unusual twist compared to the ones that we more regularly do. So if it feels uncomfortable, that's fine. Breathe in. And on the exhale, let's bring it all back to center. And then maybe take a little wiggle. One side to another, resetting the spine a little bit. And then let's take our Baddha Konasana. So we're not going to take our Baddha Konasana A, we're just going to take the B variation. So if you've made your diamondy shape thing, it's a diamond, right? It's a diamond. If you want to make it a little bit wider, shuffle the legs out in front a little bit, that's fine. You can reach forward and grab hold of the top of the toes, or if you want to reach the hands out in front, you can reach them out in front, that's fine too. Take a big inhale and lengthen through the spine. And on the exhale, surrender everything forward and down. If you can touch your head to your feet, go for it. You've got some choices here. You can use this as a passive restorative pose. We've done quite a lot of back bends, whether small or large, during this. And it's nice for the spine to have an opportunity to go in the opposite direction. So you can be totally passive. You cannot actually try at all here, and it will work just fine. If you do want to take something that's more active, you can think about trying to lower the torso further towards the floor, reaching the head towards the feet, but really either variation works just fine. Notice the breathing rate and the heart rate coming down again. This is a nice opportunity to close the eyes if you fancy it. Take an inhale and an exhale. And on the next inhale, let's start to lift everything upright. Let's straighten the legs out in front. Take your time about it. It doesn't need to be super flashy. Make sure you've got plenty of space behind you, and also make sure that your brick is nearby. If you were using a hardback book, it's not going to work for the next bit. You need a brick. So for the variation in the next bit, if you've not got the brick, just ignore what I tell you, okay? But if you've got the brick, keep it to the side. We're going to stretch both arms out in front, and we're going to exhale to float down to lying. Lower back, middle back, upper back to the mat. Let the head fall. And then take a couple of seconds to find some element of comfort. Maybe that means moving the hips to the side, giving the back a little bit of a wiggle. Do what you need to find the nicest lying down position you can find for you. And we're going to take our 2 back bends to finish. So it's up to you which back bends you take and in what order. I don't mind at all. They all start from the same place though. So we're going to bend the knees, bringing the soles of the feet to the floor, quite close to the bum, as close as we can get them. Maybe you can reach down and tickle the backs of the heels just to see how far away they are. And then on a breath in, we're going to lift the hips up towards the ceiling for our bridge. Or if you're going for full wheel, you can bring the hands beside the head on either side and push into the hands to lift up for full wheel. Really depends on which variation you prefer. If you take the bridge pose, you can use the block to do a supported bridge. So you can rest the sacrum or the lower back on the long end of the block, or if you fancy it, you can try to fit the entire length of the block under the sacrum as well. It's exactly the same pose, it just means that you have to do less active work. It definitely doesn't work as nicely with a hardback book because it's quite sore. So it's a brick position for definite. No matter where you go with these back bends, every inhale, we're thinking about lifting up through the knees, pushing down through the feet, gaining as much space and height as possible. And every exhale, trying to hold the position. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's start to lower it down, releasing the brick if we've used it, upper back, middle back, lower back to the mat. And then maybe windshield wipering the knees from one side to another. Or if you fancy it, you can pull the knees in towards the chest and wrap the arms around the legs, maybe having a little rock from side to side. Totally up to you which variation of that you pick. And then we're going to come for our second back bend. So we're turning to lying on the mat. And again, the choice is completely yours. You can take bridge, you can take supported bridge, you can take a full wheel, absolutely up to you. Wherever you're at. On the inhale, lift the hips up towards the ceiling or pull up into a full wheel position. And if you just get really exhausted or you just don't fancy doing it, that's fine. You don't need to do anything. If you're in wheel or bridge and you want to play about with the balance of the legs, maybe lifting one and then the other, go for it. But equally, if you've done a lot in the class and you just don't feel that it's doable, no need to push it too far. Every inhale is about lifting a little bit higher or finding that security through the knees down into the feet. And every exhale is trying to hold the same position. Breathe in. And on the exhale, let's start to release it. Upper back, middle back, lower back to the mat. Schlepping it as much as you want to. Maybe pulling the knees in towards the chest, wrapping the arms around the legs. Give yourself a little hug. Maybe rock a little bit from one side to another. And then we'll get ready for our Shavasana or corpse pose. So totally up to you which variation of Shavasana you want to do. If you want to put on socks, find a blanket, grab 8 cushions, do whatever you wish. Generally speaking, lying on the mat, separating the legs a little bit, pointing the toes to the corners of the mat, dropping the hands beside the body, or maybe resting them on the belly. Take a breath in. And exhale the practice out. Let all the parts of the body get really heavy against the floor. Let everything relax, almost like you could slouch from a lying position. Take another inhale. And on the exhale, closing the eyes if they're not closed already. Maybe rolling the head against the mat so the chin tucks in towards the chest a little bit. Breathe in. And exhale into a few minutes of total and complete rest. Let's start to bring a little movement back into the fingers and toes. Maybe wiggling the wrists and the ankles, dropping the head from one side to another if you wish. And then on an inhale, reaching the arms up overhead and taking a big long stretch. Tips of the fingers to the bottoms of the toes. And exhale, maybe pulling the knees in towards the chest. Wrap the arms around the legs, give yourself a little hug, maybe rock a little bit from one side to another. And when you're ready, any way you choose, we'll come back to sitting cross legs on the mat where we started. We'll bring the hands to the center of the chest, make a little prayer. We'll inhale the prayer up and exhale it down. Little thanks to everyone who joined us.